Tom, do you have the keyboard up there?
No, that's not it. Yep. Okay. Like I told you, this is something I want to see. I never let on you. It's fun. When I get out of this in the hands here in a minute or two, I'll go poke around and see if I can find it for you. It'll be after business hours.
Oh, you're never gonna see it.
So I'll explain the budget for.
I would ask that everybody that has a cell phone that you would put it in silence prior to the meeting. We don't have any interruptions. And anybody that comes forward and wishes to speak, if you would please give your name, address, and so that we can have it for the record. All right, we'll stand first for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, for the record, all commissioners are present. Commissioner Rusted, Commissioner Hagan, Commissioner Ingham, and myself are here, and Commissioner Peach is on Zoom. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting?
Mr. Chair, I would move approval.
Okay, Commissioner Peach makes the motion, seconded by Commissioner Hagan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion is carried. Okay. Approval of the order of agenda. Anybody wish to have anything added to the agenda or anything at this time? If not, I look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Commissioner Ingham approves. Do I have a second? Commissioner Rusted. Okay, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Approval of the consent agenda. Bills, employee status changes, overtime, August financial report, bond for check reissue. Anybody wish to have anything pulled?
Can I get clarity on the on letter E?
Letter E, the bond for check reissue.
So a check was issued. He never cashed the check. We contacted him and we are now, he would like a new check issued and he has filled out that bond. to get the check reissued. And it's actually an election worker.
Move approval of consent agenda.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Beach. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. The 2024 final budget hearing.
Information for you. So members, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I have the 2024 preliminary budget that was approved by this board, scanned in on page 56. That's the budget that was looked at and acted on at the administrative committee meeting on Thursday, September 14th. And motions were made at that meeting to lower the preliminary budget, but I need them done, those motions done at this meeting. So is there a motion to remove the additional IT position from the 2024 preliminary budget?
I will make that motion.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Hagan. We're gonna do a roll call vote on this, so we'll start with Commissioner Rusted,
Yes.
Commissioner Hagan, Commissioner Ingen,
Yes.
Commissioner Peach,
No.
okay? I vote yes. Okay,
Is there a motion to remove the additional HR position from the 2024 preliminary budget?
I will make that motion.
Commissioner Rusted makes the motion, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Hagan. Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one too. Commissioner Rusted,
Yes.
Commissioner Hagan, Commissioner Hagan,
Yes.
Commissioner Peach,
No.
and I vote yes. Okay,
Is there a motion to remove Juneteenth holiday from the 2024 preliminary budget?
I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Rusted makes the motion, seconded. Commissioner.
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Peach seconds. Roll call vote. Commissioner Rusted,
Yes.
Commissioner Hagan.
Yes.
Commissioner Ingen.
Yes.
Commissioner Peach,
Yes.
and I vote yes also.
Is there a motion to remove the funding from the 2024 preliminary budget of $203,985 for the CBIC service agreement and use ARPA funds instead?
Commissioner
I'll
Hagan,
make that motion.
Commissioner Peach, you can second.
I will second.
I'll
Okay,
third it.
we'll do a roll call. Commissioner Rusted,
Yes.
Commissioner Hagan,
Yes.
Commissioner Ingen,
Yes.
Commissioner Peach,
Yes.
okay, and I vote yes also.
Is there a motion to use $100,000 of the local assistance grant fund to offset the 2024 budget?
Commissioner Hagan makes the motion. Is there a second? Commissioner Rusted. Do a roll call vote on this. Commissioner Rusted.
Yes.
Commissioner Hagan.
Yes.
Commissioner Hagan. Yes. Commissioner Peach,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
There was a motion made at the administrative committee service meeting that to pay the NEPERS public safety plans from the general fund, but that motion's not needed because it's already in there. So only a motion would be needed if you wanted to remove it. So we don't need that motion.
Okay,
It's a non-action item.
okay,
Okay, with those changes, the 2024 preliminary budget was lowered $939,867 or 2.51 mils. 37% of the 6.84 mils preliminary increase was reduced. The budget booklet in front of you contains the reflects those decreases that we just discussed. in the budget booklet, you will have the levy calculation, the levy booklet that gives you the levy calculation with more detail, the cash estimates that were used in the levy calculation, the cash balances, and the revenue and expenditure listing. The final budget for Grand Forks County is $32,107,488, excluding the state garrison soil levies, which is $3.89 million greater than it was last year, or 13.8%. The general fund increased by $2.2 million. Road funds increased by $468. Capital construction increased by $668,651. The weed control decreased $637. All other funds increased by $716,235, which includes the Historical Society, the Senior Citizens, the Emergency Fund, Veteran Service Office, the Extension Service, Public Health, Water Resources, Library, Red River Joint Water, Ambulance Service, and Airport. Most of that is from valuation increase. The value of the mill went from $347,032 to $374,033, or 7.78% increase. Included in the 2024 budget is an additional buildings and grounds position that began in 2023, but will be included in 2024 levy. 2 additional youth assessment positions, reclassifying an IT position, reclassifying a sheriff's deputy position, and salaries. All full-time employees and elected officials' salaries, excluding the sheriff's deputies, will be increased by 5% on October 2023. That will be included in the preliminary included in the 2024 budget. There are 39 positions that will be regraded effective January 1. There are 112 positions that were identified as out of market and will receive a 7% increase January 1, 2024. A new sheriff's deputy salary scale was approved effective July 1, 2023. Now will be included in the 2024 budget and levy for. Step increases on seniority dates have been included for all qualified employees. Sheriff's deputies are included, regraded are excluded. And the reason that is their seniority dates will change to January 1st for the regraded positions. Retirement ND-PERS will increase from 13.26% to 14.26% in 2024. Sworn personnel will transition from the ND-PERS defined benefit plan to the ND-PERS public safety plan. It's an additional 1.78% of their salary. Health insurance. We were just informed that we will have no increase in our health insurance next year, so we were able to lower the 2024 preliminary budget to reflect that. The contracted services are listed there, showing the increases. The Grand Forks Community Service and Restitution did not increase, with $16,000 request in 2023 and also in 2024. Humane Society was $20,000 in 2023 and $20,000 in 2024. TBIC will be the $203,985 will be funded by ARPA. So there is a reduction there. The Children's Advocacy Center is the same. The Detox Center is increasing from $95,000 to $130,000, and that's due to the need to increase their salaries for retention and recruitment. Young Professionals is $1,000. It's the same as it was in 2023. And Save Kids is $25,000, the same as it was last year. The emergency fund is included at 0.54 mils. Maximum levy is 2 mils. I anticipate the cash balance to be about $1 million at the end of the year. We are not allowed to levy if our cash balance is greater than what 5 mils would generate, and that would be about 1.8 million. Revenues, we are very similar to what we were last year, with 1% greater in property tax this year and 1% less in state revenue this year. You can see the list there of the largest revenues that for the largest sources of revenue that we receive. And then at the bottom there, I've got a breakdown of what this means in dollars to people. So if the final budget is approved at 4.33 mils, it would be an additional $19.49 for a residential property for every $100,000. So if your property is worth more than 100, it's more than that. But this is just the difference, that 4.33 mils. That's in addition to what you're already paying. Ag commercial, it's $21.65 more. If you go to the next chart, if you live in Grand Forks City, $100,000 would pay $378.99. So that 1949 is already in there. It would have been 1949 less if we didn't have a mill increase for 100,000. A little bit different outside the city because they are also paying the weed levy and the airport levy, which they do not in Grand Forks City. So if a residential property, $100,000 outside the city is $412.02, the county portion of the tax for every $100,000 in valuation. And ag commercial is $457.80. Are there any questions or request any changes to be made to the budget? Yes.
So, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind.
Yep.
I guess I'd like to move that also the assessment positions, those two assessment positions be taken off the current budget. And then I got a little more after this, but at least, you know, if I can get it up for a second to discuss.
Okay.
I'm a little unclear, admittedly, on how this is a net gain, and so maybe some discussion on this would be very helpful. So I'd at least like to get, if somebody would second, so we could discuss.
Okay, what was your motion again?
To remove the youth assessment positions that were asked for out of the budget.
Is there a second to that motion? Do I have a second on that motion to remove the youth assessment positions? So it
I don't
dies.
know if that dies a little second. I guess my other thing I'd like to, there's two more things, if you don't mind. I do believe that there is since we went home rule charter, there might be a revenue source that's still sitting on the table. A franchise fee for utilities out in the county. I know the city collects that as a home rule city. I really would, I would ask Mr. Ford if he wouldn't mind looking into what the potential there is. I believe there's a significant revenue source that we are, and maybe it's not the answer, but I think it's worth looking into.
Okay.
And my last, this one I might really insist somebody seconds, is that I would like to send notice to the Historical Society that this is our, we're moving out. We're gonna cut ties with supporting them financially. And I know that after talking with State's Attorney Wamstead, it isn't something we could just add to the budget because it's contractual and they need notice. I would like to make sure that that item doesn't show up in our budget next year. And I don't like, now that it's top of mind, since we're talking about these things, I would like to provide them that notice. So I would ask for a second and a vote on that.
Okay. We've got a motion to cut the ties.
Support, I put convicted, right?
Do I have a second? on-
put anything, I just.
You give them notice.
Give a
Yeah,
notice.
what, when you're closing it?
Okay,
Oh, you don't put it,
No.
oh, I was saying you put like,
charge.
just, okay.
Is there someone on Zoom?
You can mute them.
I don't know how to do it from here.
okay, we got a motion
Or
to cut, or to give notice to the Historical Society,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hagan.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I think maybe it'd be helpful to have some clarification as to whether or not that's pertinent to the Grand Forks Historical Society. I think the county does provide funds to a number of historical societies, so maybe some clarification on the motion, if it's all of them or just Grand Forks.
Every historical society we can get away from would be the motion.
And that's effective for next
Yeah, yeah, because after talking with the state's attorney, I found out that that's not something we can just extract from the budget without having given them proper notice.
all right, I've got a motion and a second. Assuming a roll call vote, which is, huh? You're gonna take a roll call? I am, okay, yep, assuming a roll call vote, and we'll start with Commissioner Rusted,
Yes,
Commissioner Hagan,
Yes.
Commissioner Ingen,
No.
Commissioner Peach,
No.
and I vote no also. Three to two. All right, so now,
So if there are no other requests for changes to the budget or no questions on the budget, we can open up to public.
okay, anybody from the public wish to speak about the budget for Grand Forks County? Anybody?
Great. Yeah. As a public citizen, can I do that? I will count it as I'm not working at this point in time.
Absolutely.
Chair Frost and members of the commission. This is just in regards to Juneteenth. I'm not asking you to make any changes, but I think that it's important to have a discussion about the importance of the holiday. I know that it is something that the commission has recognized actually in the past in 2021. And so I would just like to read a little bit about from the proclamation about 2023 from the Juneteenth. Just as it is taken from the budget, I think that the commission does recognize it already, but just to put it in context, on June 19th, 1865, months after the Civil War ended, and more than 2 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing enslaved people, Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas to free 2,500 people still held in bondage. The arrival of Major General Gordon Granger and his troops signaled that the federal government would not relent until the last enslaved people in America were free. On Juneteenth, we commemorate that day and honor the tireless work of abolitionists who made it their mission to deliver the promise of America for all Americans. And we honor the generations of activists who have advanced the need for our nation to recognize Juneteenth as a way to reconcile our past as we build a new American future together. I just wanted to acknowledge that and make sure that in the discussions that was brought forward as part of the public record.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I need a motion to approve the 2024 final budget as presented at a net levy of $32,107,488.
Do I have a motion to approve that budget?
I would so move that motion.
Commissioner Peach makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote on that. Start with Commissioner Rusted.
No.
Commissioner Hagan,
Yes.
Commissioner Ingen,
Yes.
Commissioner Peach,
Yes.
and I vote yes also.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering that there were 3 motions that we made with IT for a staff person, HR for a staff person, as well as Juneteenth. my hopes is that they could be priorities as we move into 2023. Once we get into the budget and see that maybe there is some opportunities that we could afford those changes.
Follow what you said. Yeah. Did you?
She wants to
I-
prioritize the Juneteenth and the HR
And
and
IT.
the IT.
And the IT
positions
position.
going into next year.
We already voted.
Yeah.
No, she's just saying, once it starts, they.
Okay.
Once it starts,
Okay,
to prioritize those.
To give them.
all right. Thank you, Commissioner Peach.
Thank you.
Okay, that, didn't make, should we make a motion actually?
Now, do we have to rescind that budget, preliminary budget that we did in August? Sounds good.
So, Mr. Chairman, there are service agreements that also need to be approved, but if we do not have a service agreement for the detox center yet or for CBIC. But for the Grand Forks Community Service, Grand Forks Humane Society, Safe Kids, Youth Works, and the Children's Advocacy Center, and Young Professionals. I do have the service agreement scanned in, so if I
Okay.
could get a motion to approve those.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve those?
Sure, yes.
Commissioner Egan, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, got a second. We'll do a roll call on it. So Commissioner Rusted,
Still a no.
okay, Commissioner Hagan,
Yes.
okay, Commissioner Hagan,
Yes.
Commissioner Peach,
Yes.
and I vote yes also.
All right. That's all I have.
Okay, that's all you. Okay. All right. City Planning Commission appointments.
Mr. Chairman, we had one person that applied for the City Planning Commission. He is here. So if you have any questions for him,
Okay. And who is that?
yes.
So Kuyama, you want to step up to the podium? Give us a campaign speech?
I'm not a good campaigner, you know that.
Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners, Jordan Thela. I applied for planning and zoning. I live on the north side of town in the extra territorial jurisdiction out there, so I applied for one of those seats. And just want to make sure we get representation on the north side. I believe the other two seats are filled by next door neighbors on the Burke edition, so
Yeah.
I won't have the historical knowledge as the guy that is no longer applied for it, but that should be able to make some good decisions with the information that gets provided.
So that position was Frank Matichak. wasn't
Yep.
it? Yep. Okay,
So
all right.
questions of me?
I just had a question, like, what are your goals as being on the commission?
Just to see what gets presented and just make sure we're not just thinking about the city of Grand Forks, that we think outside of the city of Grand Forks, when we make these, whatever comes up, but most of it applies for city limit stuff, signage, advertisement, that kind of stuff. Just add to the diverse opinion and make sure everyone's represented, I guess.
Mr. Chair, are you looking for a motion?
Pardon?
Are you looking for a motion?
I am.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Commissioner Rusted makes the motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Egan seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion is carried.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Careful what you wish for.
All right. Sheriff Schneider.
Chairman Ross, members of the commission, I come requesting chair's signature, electronic signature and filing of the DOT, National Highway and Traffic Safety Administration grant. The sheriff's office has been awarded $44,160 to put forth efforts in patrolling regarding alcohol enforcement, underage drinking enforcement, seatbelt use, speed patrol, and distracted driving. So this is a grant that we've applied for decades. We're awarded it every year. One thing that's great, I think, about Grand Forks County is The state is always trying to get us to apply for more because they're very pleased with our efforts and our statistics in this area. We have several deputies that are awarded annually with the traffic safety coin at their state conference. And this year we actually had the DRE of the year recognized through the same Vision Zero conference. So requesting chair signature
I'll
on that.
move the chair signs for
By
this.
Commissioner Rusted, second. Commissioner Hagan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
Thank you. The only other thing I'd like to mention is that there was another position, additional staff that was applied for on the 2024 budget. It was removed prior to any budget meetings, which was an additional deputy. So I'd also request that you maybe keep that in mind as a priority moving into 2024. And I'm willing to provide you with any information you need to make that decision.
All right,
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Sheriff.
I just gotta say, Sheriff Snyder used to have brown hair when he ran for sheriff. That was 4.5 years ago. As you
Long
can
time
see,
ago.
he went just like I did, so.
Are you gonna lose it soon?
Too soon, I'm sore subject.
Yeah. All right, highway engineer.
Chairman Ross, members of the board, I didn't have any gray hair before the county either.
Neither did I.
No. I have one kind of significant request. I have two minor ones, if it's okay, if the board would hear me out.
Only major requests today, sir.
Only major request. With the approval of the preliminary budget, we have in the highway budget to purchase one snowplow truck for next year. With the long procurement times to get a piece of equipment like that, I'd like permission to get bids on that and get it coming so we could actually get it in 24. But I'd like to do something a little different than we did last time. The last time we bought a snowplow truck was 2 or 3 years ago. We just bought them off state bid. It was easy pre-bid approval process. They were internationals. Fine, great, nothing wrong with them. The only problem is right now with an international truck, I don't even know if we can get them in 24. That's how backed up they are. So I'd like to do it just I call it the old school method. You put a spec together, add in the paper, send it to all the manufacturers of trucks, bid it out that way with a detailed spec of the truck, see what we get, what brand and when it can come and what the prices are. We get that information, bring it back to the board, make a decision then.
I don't think it can be a Ford. I don't think it can be a Chevrolet. I don't think it can be a Chrysler, just because of the strike. So it's gonna be interesting for you to see bids.
Something else to keep in mind too is we're gonna wanna make sure that it's something that they can potentially work on as well.
Yeah.
Some of these manufacturers are putting out stuff they're tough to work on, are tough to find people that can work on if we can't, and I know that you probably are hands-on with a lot of that. Want to make sure that it's something just to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
Not part of a motion or anything, but just, I ran into that wall face first at my particular job.
Mhm.
So,
Something we've had in the spec for a number of years since I've been here is on major equipment like that, we require a local indoor service shop in Grand Forks County or City of East Grand Forks. So we have local service. Something that's definitely on our mind.
okay, cool.
We have a lot of options in town. We don't need to go to Minneapolis to get service. So that would be part of
You
it.
don't need to be told by me to already do the job you're doing well. So
Okay.
I would move we allow for him to take bids so that we can get something in.
Okay, second. Commissioner Hagan seconds. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Thank you. The other minor item would be with procurement of the Manville Shed property. The board had already approved the terms of the conditions and the price, but when it comes time to closing, I need a representative from the county to be there with the authority to sign the deed and whatnot.
That would be me.
Okay, that would be great. I don't know when it would happen, but hopefully in the next month or so.
I thought you were gonna ask for $1.
No more money.
I'll get him. If you can't come up with it.
Yeah.
I'll pitch in a quarter.
I don't know if we need a motion on that or not.
Actually, I think we would, wouldn't we?
I move that the chair be the person to sign the deed for.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Did you do that second?
Yeah, I thought.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Hagan second.
Okay.
That was me.
Didn't hear you say.
Yeah.
Okay.
She whispered,
Thank you.
Well, yeah, so
except
you
at
do
the end.
Chairman Ross, I'll be in touch with you as
Okay,
when it would happen and what would work for
all right.
you. And I'll also need a representative from the city of Manville, so.
Yeah, I actually signed off on that property in our villa here just this week. So.
Great. The one I call major item, the item that made it to the agenda is there's a bridge in Wally Township that's straight up, it's on a driveway. That the county, we're pretty confident, don't know for sure, but pretty confident the county built it, I'm gonna approximate 70 years ago.
7-0.
Correct. Okay. Yes. Timber bridge on a driveway. It's not the only bridge we have on driveways. I can think of a couple other ones as well. The difference with this bridge is that in our records, we have no documentation that we officially built it. It definitely looks like we did, it has all of our DNA all over it. The landowners say we did. It's so far back that our old superintendent that was here for 69 years or 59 years doesn't remember ever working on it. Little different, the other bridges that we have on driveways are definitely ours. They're on our maps, the state inspects them for us. We have history of repairing them. They're part of what we do. But this particular bridge, we were approached a number of years ago to fix it up. We never even made it to the board level. Commissioner Knopf and myself dealt with it, and it was determined at that time that the county wasn't going to get involved, and that was the end of the discussion. Now, there's a bridge a few hundred feet away or 1,000 feet away that we are replacing with one of our big aluminum box culverts, and we need easement. So their immediate thought was, well, what about our driveway bridge? In 10 years, I've never had a
You
landowner.
didn't have to finish that sentence.
In 10 years, I've never had a landowner deny me an easement for a bridge replacement. It's never been a problem.
Why do we need an easement for bridge replacement that's already there?
Because the new culvert is wider than the current statutory right of way on a township road. And it extends out and we would be on their property.
One end of it on their property, that's the deal? For both?
Yes,
Yeah.
same parcel as this particular driveway.
So, okay.
Is there an option
That's
that's
what's
near,
happening.
or I'm sure you've looked into that stuff, but I
He's got some more information. He's got the spare timbers. So.
Well, yeah, the other curveball to this is, and you know, I've visited with Commissioner Hagan and State's Attorney Wamstead and well, the existing bridge is in very poor shape. Very poor.
are you referencing the driveway bridge or the one you were already planning on?
Well, actually both, but the driveway bridge. And that if in some way, shape or form, if it could ever be proved that the town did build it, then are we liable, partially liable? That was kind of some of the general discussion behind the scenes. And it was, I don't want to speak for anybody, but a little bit of consensus between the three of us that, geez, if we were partially liable, that maybe we're wholly liable, we should do something about it.
That wouldn't be a very expensive bridge to fix, would it, if you've got some of the timbers already?
Well, the problem is it's beyond repair.
Okay, so what's the cost of what you would do?
What we are proposing to do is replace the bridge in its entirety.
Yeah.
And we would build a new timber bridge from materials we have on hand. And the unique part is the piling, the big round telephone poles that go on the ground. We have a number of them on hand, probably enough to build two bridges that we bought 12 years ago. that we haven't used, and I don't know if we would ever use them. I don't know where we'd use them. We haven't used any in the 10 years I've been here because I don't know of a way to build a new timber bridge from scratch on a public road that would meet the current requirements of today. We went through this on that bridge in Northwood we replaced.
Yeah.
The guardrail requirements, they just can't make it strong enough. We're able to rehab timber bridges because they're not new and we can still use the old system of doing it. So in one way, it's a way for us to use the materials in a good positive manner on a bridge that doesn't have to meet those requirements and still function. Obviously the rest of the materials would be, timber we have on hand. The only thing really new that we have to buy is the metal beams. They estimate out-of-pocket material cost about $112,000, $113,000 for material costs. We would build it ourselves with our crews. And that does include, that $113,000 includes renting a crane and a pile driver, because we have to have that.
Is this
Mr. Rusted.
is this an additional 113 beyond what is budgeted for, or is this within your budget? I'm unclear on that piece.
It would be, we would work it into our budget, either our construction fund, 1505 money, or period up money. One of the three options.
So, yeah, so for a bridge,
He's not asking for more money.
No, I'm not asking for more money.
see, when I seen you make eye contact with me, I knew what you were. You figured me out, Bob.
Yeah.
The other major part of the request is that if we build this bridge, I wanted in there that we warranty it for 5 years, but then after that, it's theirs. It's their bridge in perpetuity. They inspect it, maintain it, they would take care of it. So the county's out of it into the future with an agreement. And the landowner has verbally agreed to all this.
Reasonable.
I got a question with the state's attorney. If it is a bridge we really built, can we have someone waive their rights in advance after 5 years?
Good question.
Hate to put you on the spot, but I don't know the answer. I can't think of it.
Commissioner Engen, members of the board, I think how this agreement we've crafted, that my understanding the landowner is agreeable to, it is a bargain for exchange, that in exchange for this, they waive their rights. With that said, I think, that may not cut all ties, if we constructed the bridge in a grossly negligent way or something like that, we potentially could face liability, but I think it would limit our liability should something come up beyond that 5 years.
I'm just thinking of 10 years down the line, the warranty is expired. They own it supposedly, but we built it. Someone else owns the property, is injured. I get too much into looking for what ifs sometimes, but I think if the language is clear, that it's a complete waiver and there's really no guarantee that this was a highway, Grand Forks County bridge prior to this time, but we will put one in and then it's yours. Maybe if we could draft it that way, it would help.
And Commissioner Engen, the agreement is part of the packet. I do believe it does cover all of those items. But if you felt there is something we should clarify in more detail, we certainly could amend it as well.
State's attorney, so what is your 1 to 10 comfort level? Because his question is pretty valid. I mean, are you okay with this, or what? I hadn't thought of what Dave brought up, but it's a darn good point.
Commissioner Rusted, members of the board, I think this is the best course of action. Obviously, if no action is taken and the current bridge, which sounds like it's in quite tough condition, if that remains, naturally, we potentially could face liability if something transpired with that. So I think balancing our risk, this is the best course of action. Even though it might not cut all potential ties, it kind of does the best job we can to limit that potential liability as well.
So maybe reading between the lines, we're taking a high risk situation and spending $100,000 roughly and turning it into a very, very low risk situation. So it's probably the wisest move.
Yeah. Well, and I think some future commission in however many years, if they're made aware through the highway department that there are problems with the bridge, it would make common sense to look at it and see if we had to do something. So it's like I think it is a low risk situation. So thank you.
I would add, we would build it so that it was structurally strong enough that a loaded truck could drive over it. We would make the opening big enough to meet current hydraulic requirements. For practical purposes, it would be very good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve that? Yes, Commissioner Hagan.
Second.
Mr. Rusted seconds. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried unanimously.
Thank you. I know that was a really odd one. I should have prefaced with that. I really racked my brain for a long time on what to do.
You lost a lot of sleep over this deal.
I did.
I spent a half hour with you in your office.
Yeah. I didn't know what to do. It's just such a goofy situation. Now, coincidentally, there's a bridge 10 miles away on our system that our guys just ripped into today to rehab and do, not completely replace, but beef it up and do a big rehabilitation project. And we got another that's over by Reynolds and another one in Nucknock we're doing in about a month. That's the, for all practical purposes, the same situation. So it's really not outside of the scope of what we do. It's just those the other two, the one that we're into today and the one we're gonna do, they've been in our system since they were built.
If you think about it, what choice do we have? Because we've got to fix the really bad one. And the landowner holds all the cards. He's sitting on top of aces and we've got 7-2 offsuit. So we must fix his bridge so we can fix the other one that
It's
is,
a no-brainer.
we have to.
Okay.
Would that motion include chairman's signature on the agreement?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. That is all I have.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. West, do you have the agreement with you by chance?
I do. Single-sided. Ready for signature? Well, and our aluminum boxes are going in actually tomorrow. The one out by Orr is going to be set. And probably in 2 weeks, the one in Brenna is going to be set. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Administrator.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. We have Lance Monson and Caleb Smith here from Construction Engineers, and they're gonna discuss the Yak Correctional Center expansion project, bid package number 2.
Ross, commissioners, they took bids for, Lance Munson with Construction Engineers, took bids for, bid package number 2. Bids came in favorably. But between, the amount we're under on construction as well as an amount, that was removed from soft costs, we are down, about 1.8 million. So the total project, we're sitting at 32,789,000. You don't have to write all these down, because I'm going to talk about some alternates. The 32,789,000, 313 for a total project cost at about 36.8. There is one alternate that I believe the building committee wants to accept. That's alternate 4 for replacing the chiller in the amount of $336,090. So that would bring the total project cost with soft cost to 37.1, which is about $1 million under budget. Today, what we're looking for is approval of bid pack 2 and alternate 4 for the total amount of, the total additional amount of $23,358,419. So that's just the bid pack 2 portion. If there's any questions, I feel like I could read a bunch of numbers until everybody is glossed over, but you got the pack in front of you. I can go through as much as you'd like. But overall, like I said, bids came in roughly where we expected on the construction part. It was actually up just a little bit, but we've got contingencies in place. And we talked about that during bid pack 1. Contingencies in place, design contingencies to allow for decisions to be made and to still be on budget. So that's part of the reason why we've got, we're in a good situation here today.
Could you tell us where the total numbers are? We've got pages
Yeah.
1 through 4.
Yes.
Recommended number 2, and that would be helpful if you could tell us
Yeah.
where those numbers are.
So page 1, you're looking at the total construction cost without soft costs. That's 32,789,313. And that's without accepting the alternate. Page 2, if you look at the number on the gray line, that's after project soft costs. And that's 36,814,584. And then page 3 is just bid package number 2. So that's what we just bid out. And that's the 23,022,329. So for any of those numbers to accept that alternate bid pack 2, alternate 4 would be the add of $336,090.
Okay, any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
building committee met this morning. So Mr. Munson, commissioners, the original plan for the chiller was that Mr. Burkholder was going to submit for that in capital improvements. And then Mr. Munson also mentioned some moving some soft costs around. The whole intent for that was to put more capital towards the construction costs as much as possible. And so you would see Mr. Burkholder submit for that chiller, but like you can, Lance, you can probably talk about this because I had to listen in on a conference phone. But decided this morning to keep the chiller in the bid so that we can lock in the price, so we don't risk the price going up and then just credit that back later. Is that?
Yeah, there's zero chance for getting it done for cheaper later.
Right.
1, because you have the contractor on board. 2, just the scale of the project. So it's definitely the best price you're gonna get on that.
So, any questions from anybody? Commissioner Peach, any questions?
No, I have none. Thank you.
Okay, all right, so bid package 2. I'm looking for a motion to approve bid package 2 for 23 million?
Including alternate 2, it's 23,358,419.
Do I have a motion to
Yeah,
approve that?
I'll do that.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Once we get to conversation about it, can I ask one question?
Oh, sure. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Commissioner Peach seconds. Okay, comments, Mr. Rustek?
What does this leave in contingency?
Sure, good question. So construction contingency for total project. 1,256,108. So on page 1, it's the last number in white.
All to it.
In construction contingency, and then in owner contingency, 983,679, which is on page 2. It's the kind of bottom number in the grade portion.
So are there funds held back prior to, so what you're asking for right now is basically the remainder of the entire project minus the $1 million in savings or whatever. Is there funds held back for warranty purposes, things that may come up, and generally speaking, in certain pieces, there's gonna be 30 years, but on some pieces, it's gonna be 6 months or 1 year. What are we looking at there, or is there what's the assurances, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, so the warranty, the literal warranty, you wouldn't have a cost for it, right? If something comes up on warranty.
Right, but generally speaking, when the person issuing the check hold back a certain amount of dollars to ensure that warranty gets upheld for a period of time? I mean, I know that's.
No, I mean, there's
done in the past.
retainage during construction, and Caleb, you can talk to that, I'm guessing it's 10%. So during construction, there's retainage,
So after substantial completion, there's no retained dollars.
not on our contract.
Okay.
Right.
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
Very much.
Okay, any other questions? All right, I've got a motion and a second to approve bid package 2. We're gonna do a roll call vote on this. Commissioner Rusted. No. Commissioner Hagan.
Yes.
Commissioner Ingen.
Yes.
Commissioner Peach.
Yes.
And I vote yes also. Okay, thank you.
Chair, members of the commission, I think the project update, that pretty much took care of it, unless there's any questions from the board, but just 3 housekeeping items for the commission. County will have a table at the university's Wake Up to UND event on September 26th. So if any commissioner wants to go, just let me know. The chambers will need to know who's at the table so you can check in. You'll get an invitation very soon. The Career Impact Academy groundbreaking is set for October 2nd at 2 p.m. So you'll all be invited to that. And as a reminder, the commission did dedicate some funding to that project. And then a couple of updates regarding the base. Ms. Leon and I met with Colonel Castor and Colonel Bentley a couple weeks ago, just to talk about, if you remember, the military installation resiliency project that the county did. We received that grant from Office of Economic Adjustment. So we'll be following up with the Civil Engineering Squadron. They're looking to provide the county some priorities that came out of that resiliency report. And hopefully we'll work with the base on looking at a DSIP grant in 2024. And then if you recall, for a while we were working on a P4 agreement with Grand Sky and the base on a fire station. Initially, the base had mentioned that the response time for a station on Grand Sky wouldn't meet their minimums. So we were going to proceed with a DSIP, couldn't get the package in on time. However, in that same meeting, the base did let us know that actually where Grand Sky wants to place that fire station would meet the minimums. So there's a request that we revisit or resurrect the P4 fire station, which is a win-win all around. So look, we're moving forward on that, visiting with Mr. Sawyer and the base, and more to come there, but that would be an excellent P4 agreement among the county, the base, and Grand Sky. Once we get it complete, I think we can. So more to come on those. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. State's Attorney. Committee reports. Commissioner Rustic.
Nothing.
Commissioner Hagan.
Nothing new.
Okay. Commissioner Peach, do you have anything?
Yeah, Airport Authority was hoping to get a grant to work on one of the runways, and the feds told them they were going to get less than half of those dollar amounts to fix that runway. And lo and behold, the federal government came along with the full cost. So they've got a grant that they're initiating to fix one of the runways, and that'll be done next summer. So it's good news that they got extra money that they weren't planning on getting. That's about it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hagan.
Actually, nothing is, you weren't all at you had the committee meeting on the budget, so we were all there for that.
Okay. And I've got just
meeting every Tuesday morning with the construction engineers out there at the construction shack and seeing the progress they're making, which is significant. Weather's been in their favor, definitely, for the amount of time they lost to do things. So I'm very impressed with what they've done. I did sign the deed for the Arvilla property that was constantly flooding. So that's a done deal. And other than that, that's all I had. Unfinished new business.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, the Supreme Court of North Dakota has to notify you when there's a vacancy in a judgeship and then allow you to comment whether or not it needs to continue. And there's a date, September. Why not? Need to let them know.
That
If
we
you-
would, we would like to see another judge.
Right. You want
Okay.
it to continue or not.
So I would imagine we would need, do we need a motion on that? Ms. Wamstead, would we? We send a letter?
If you send a letter on behalf of the board, yes.
Yeah. Okay,
Is that a necessary thing that, or are they pretty well inclined to fill another judgeship? You know,
well, I think they're looking for a response from us that we would like to have them appoint somebody to replace Judge Lolita.
So, Mr. Chair, members of the board.
Yes.
It is a statutory requirement that the Supreme Court notify the Board of Commissioners in the jurisdiction where the judgeship opening is. So in other words, it's standard protocol that they notify the board. If you wish to submit comments, that's entirely within your discretion. With that said, what I do know is that in the last legislative session, the legislature provided the court with additional judgeships. At that time, an assessment was made and our judicial district was sufficiently short for them to allocate one of those additional judgeships to our jurisdiction, which was approved, and Chrissy Pettit Van Huysen was appointed to fill that position. So what I'm trying to get at is I can't imagine their analysis would be much different because they just did an analysis a few months ago and determined that the additional judgeship was appropriate for our jurisdiction.
Okay, so we don't really need to do anything.
It would be up to you. I don't think it would hurt to submit a letter, but that's your decision.
Move that we submit that letter.
Okay, do I have a second? Mr. Hagan, second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion's carried.
I'm just making an assumption that perhaps the state's attorney would draft the letter for you to sign.
Oh, yeah.
I certainly can.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Correspondence. Commissioner Hagan,
Move to adjourn, please.
okay, second. Commissioner Rusted, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I actually reserved right now, I'm like, part of
Apologize. We. Yes.
Kurt, how you doing there, buddy? Good.
Yeah, to follow up with Wilson Gas Muscle. And last year.
I'm sure you don't. No.
Good night. Yeah, I like your lady. Thank you.
Still, isn't it?
Very
Okay. Okay.
I like
If
more
you
attention to those.
Fish.
I know, I was thinking that.
Right.
You know, we've got all this.
Point number 4.
There's so much traffic. It's
Yeah, I'm not sure how our household is. It's just more chaos. More chaos.
You can do that like mom swap thing.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Do it.
See what it's like on the other side.
Oh, I, oh my.
I feel a lot of